Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Nigel Farage's latest U-turn on his U-turn, as he says that he'd be very surprised if he weren't Conservative Party leader in 2026. And just when you thought British politics couldn't get any crazier. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So this one's sort of out of the blue. It is true that Nigel Farage went along to the Conservative Party conference this year as a member of the media, not a member of the party, and attracted a lot of attention. There's a lot of people go, "Oh, Nigel, you should lead us. You'd be brilliant." And he was basking in it, basking in the glory of, "Yes, I'd be brilliant. I'd be amazing, wouldn't I?" Didn't seem to mind in the slightest people saying that he should lead the party. You know, "Oh, Boris Johnson, yeah, he was all right. He's all right, but he's living with newts now. No, you should lead our party, Nigel. You're the very man." After a short while, a journalist asked him, "Would you consider joining the party?" and blah, 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 blah. And he said, "No, of course not." He said, "Why would I join a party that's put up taxes by the highest amount in 70 years, let net migration get so high, and which hasn't deregulated enough after Brexit?" And then Rishi Sunak was asked, and Rishi Sunak implied that he'd welcome Nigel Farage back. Tory party chair, however, Greg Hands, he's the guy with the joke note, he said that he wouldn't allow Farage back into the party if he wanted to rejoin. As I say, even though the party leader hinted that he'd be happy enough. So it was easy for I suppose Sunak to say he'd be happy, because he'll be in California soon after the election, I guess. Greg Hands has maybe got to live with the consequences. But now Nigel Farage has come out saying that if he were allowed back in the party, he'd be very surprised if he weren't the party leader by 2026. Of course, the man who was famously beaten in a Westminster election by a guy dressed as a dolphin would have to break his streak of 7 consecutive failures to win a seat in Parliament. But it does make you wonder what his angle is. I'll tell you what I think. I don't think he's got any intention of joining the Conservative Party. He's a grifter. He's basically 87% grifter and 13% racist, right? And if you think that's oddly specific, I calculated it, I know how to do these things. So there's a grift in this. What is it? Well, he's claiming that he expects to be Conservative Party leader in 2016. So what does that mean? It means that he expects the Conservatives to lose the election next year. Don't need to be Mystic Meg to know that. Choose an unsuitable leader to replace Sunak. Again, you ain't got much choice, have they? But a leader so unsuitable that they crash and burn, a la Ian Duncan Smith 20 years ago, and the party's looking for a new leader just like 2 years in, and they'll turn to him to get him out of the mess. But in order for this to work, he not only needs to be a Conservative Party member, he also needs to be a Conservative MP. That means he either needs to be given a safe seat in the general election next year, in which case the party had better hurry up and make him an offer, or a safe by-election shortly after the general election. Being clear, the only way I see Farage genuinely wanting to be Tory leader is if he thinks he can end up making a lot of money out of it. But can he? Like, as Prime Minister, yes, of course you can. There's a lot of very lucrative favours you can do for very wealthy people and corporations. But as leader of the opposition, I don't know, not so much. There is earning potential, but you would think to really rake it in, he'd ultimately need to win an election. He wouldn't win a general election as Tory leader. Not only will the party still be quite unpopular in 2026, but Farage himself only appeals to a very narrow section of the voting population. And as much of that population's already going to be voting Tory in the next election anyway, whether by holding their nose off or whatever other reason, when they get absolutely hammered, like, he doesn't really bring them much more, does he? I think the more likely reason for this latest claim, which is a bit of a U-turn from saying he doesn't want to join the party to actually I want to lead the party, all within the space of 2 weeks, is because he's working the long grift. He'll say he's prepared to rescue the party from its malaise. The party either blocks him from joining, or at least blocks him from being a candidate in a safe seat, in which case why would he even bother joining the party? Has to be a safe seat, because Farage himself isn't popular enough to win a difficult constituency. Why do you think he didn't stand in 2019? So in 2026, the Tories are still all over the place. Farage pops up to say, well, I offered to help you, but you told me to piss off. Because his main appeal over the past few years has been to say things, would have worked out great if you just did what I said to do, even though the Tories have basically done exactly what he told them to. But to remain credible amongst the carnage of the hard Brexit he promoted, he has to be able to claim that his ideas are golden. It's just that the monkeys in charge keep messing it up. But I don't see Farage seriously aiming to become Conservative leader for a few reasons. First, he's too lazy. He got away with not turning up to work as an MEP because his supporters didn't like the EU Parliament anyway. Mind you, a lot of those voters are now wondering where all their EU funding for local projects has gone. Second, unless it's possible to make a crap load of money out of being leader of the opposition for a few years, and, you know, beyond writing a book when it all goes wrong, I'm not really sure how, he'd need to win a general election to make the grift really pay. It's possible he's deluded enough to think he can, but I tend to view him as being quite grounded, you know, having a bit of a clearer sight of electoral reality than most Tories. Third, joining the party and even becoming an MP doesn't automatically lead him to becoming leader. And he's not going to be happy being a bit player, is he? Like, he'd have to put the work in to building up support within the parliamentary party. Doesn't matter how popular he is with the membership. If MPs do not put you on the ballot, you're not going to the members. Would he be willing to put in all that effort with no guarantee of success? Again, I think his laziness comes into the equation here. Fourth, Labour are planning on banning most second jobs for MPs. I do not think working on GB News is going to be an exception. So now I don't know how much Farage is being paid from, you know, GB News or various other jobs, but I'm fairly sure it's more than the salary for an MP, even a senior one. I don't think he's prepared to take the pay cut or the extra scrutiny that hits your finances as an MP, because Labour may well increase the level of scrutiny over MPs' incomes. Who knows? So I'm not seeing it. I think this is a definite attempt to claim in a few years. So when Labour are rolling back his Brexit dreams, to blame the Conservative Party. But then at the moment, people might say, well, why didn't you join them and help out then? Why didn't you, roll your sleeves up, Nigel, and help them out? He'll be able to say, well, I tried to, but they told me to bog off. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships, and until next time, I'll see you later.